All right, guys. So we're starting now. The goal of the live trading session that we do every Monday, Wednesday is that so that as a trading community, together we can take a look at currency pairs and spot profitable entries. Okay. So today we'll be looking at a few pairs you want us to look at. Also, it's also an avenue to answer your questions about the foreign exchange market. So regardless of your level as a trader, so if you have beginner questions or advanced questions, this is an avenue for you to ask your questions and get clarification. All right. So, and everything is put together by 10 Trade because we want you to be successful as a trader. Okay. So again, these are 10 Trade events, and I'll bring this live to you for all of our clients. Right. So let's go straight into today's business, and let's go straight into the charts. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to type in your questions in the chat box, or if you like to ask your questions via audio, just signify and you'll be unmuted so that you can ask your question, and then we'll provide answers for you. All right, so let's start as usual. What pairs are you looking at for the week? Kindly type it in the chat box. Let us take a look at it together and see good zones. So I'll be expecting our feedback on the chat box. So what pair are you looking at trading for the week, or what pair have you traded? Okay, we have from William USD JPY. Okay, which other pair are we looking at trading for the week? We checked out a few pairs on Monday, so we'll also go over those pairs to get updates. Euro USD, awesome. So let's start from that. Let's start from USD JPY, and then we'll move to Euro USD. USD JPY. Okay, so we checked out this pair on Monday as well, but let's do it again. Now let's start from the basics for people that are joining for the first time. When you are doing analysis on any currency pair, the first thing you want to do, recommended step, is to start analysis from the higher time frame. So I like to look at currency pair from the weekly chart. So what this would do is to give you the long-term perspective or the story behind the market structure of that particular pair. All right. So looking at this, identifying the market structure on this guy, we can clearly see that price is still very much, check it out. So we have something like this: impulse correction, right? And impulse, right? So ultimately, what we have here, let me confirm something with Heiken actually. Good. So what we have here is still very much of a retracement, right? And that retracement that we have is currently reacting to this range of demand here. All of this is a demand zone here, right? So what it means is that we should be expecting to buy USDJPY any moment from now. Coincidentally, if you also take a look at the currency index of USD, the dollar index, you find out that this is a similar structure on the dollar index as well. So on the dollar index, price is at a demand zone on the weekly time frame, even though the demand is not kicking, is not really strong right now. But what this might be telling us is that we should expect strength on USD very, very shortly. When there is demand for USD, for example, on USDJPY, we should see a bullish momentum, like so, to create possible new highs. So now the goal of checking a currency pair on the higher time frame is not to take any entry. No, you just want to have a better perspective of what's going on, right? You want the market to make sense to you, and it can only make sense to you when you start from the higher time frame downwards. So now that we know that price is in a demand zone on the weekly time frame. We want to go time frames deeper to check out exactly what we can do to take entry, right? So let's go to the 4-hour chart. We know that price is in a demand zone here. So what it means is that we can be looking for buy opportunities here, right? Since price is in a demand zone, what do you do in a demand zone, right? You look for what is it called? You look for buy setups. Now check out the structure on the 4-hour chart over here. Over here, we can see something like this. You can see price going down like so, like this, okay? And then what do we have? Now, one thing that you must also consider, like I always say, is the concept of liquidity, right? So over here, I will consider this as liquidity grab, right? So when price hits this weekly demand, at that mitigation, what can you see? You can see some sort of W pattern, double bottom form here, and then ultimately price still came below, right, to grab liquidity, and then we had this happen, right? So price is possibly ripe for the bullish move on this particular pair. And looking at that, if we are to buy UJ, we should look for order flow shifts from bearish to bullish. And then what do we have here? Look at this lower high right here. Okay, this is a lower high right here, was violated like so. Okay, price did this. You can see that violation of the zone, and then we can see price retracing. Now that retracement, we are waiting for price to retrace into a demand zone. Okay, so we can use this zone right here. So price that retrace into this demand zone and is currently respecting that demand. Well, let's see a possible entry. Let me delete all of this. Okay, so retracement here. Now at the point of retracement here, the same thing that we looked for is what we're going to look for as well on a lower time frame. My recommendation is now, this is a 4-hour time frame right now, and then we are looking to buy at this zone. Correct? Now, you just don't buy because price is in a demand zone. Why don't you buy because price is in a demand zone? Because you know that in a demand zone or in a supply zone, before the actual move take place, there will always be activity of liquidation. You need to wait for liquidity grabs before you look for entries. Okay, so let's check out what's going on here. Okay, on a lower time frame, right? So over here, let's go to the 15-minute chart and see if this particular guy is ripe for entry. Now, checking this out. Checking this out, what can we see here? Now we can see liquidation as well, in the sense that we are seeing activity of buyers. So we can see price giving us this structure like so. And over here, we can see a strong move up. And what did that move do? That move took out these highs, it took out these highs. It means that there's a lot of people buying this currency at this zone because they know that this is a demand zone, right? Good. So looking at this structure, that means there's a lot of stop orders here. People's stop loss is below the zone. Let's use horizontal line here. Below the zone is a lot of orders. So you are somebody that wants to follow the real move in the market. You are going to wait for price to still come below the zone here. So you want price to come down to take out this liquidity here. Okay, so price will take out liquidity, a lot of trend line liquidity here as well that price will take out. So when price gets into this zone is where personally I'll be looking to take entry for a buy. So because if price should come down like so, it will grab a lot of stop loss, a lot of orders, a lot of sell orders in order to have a very, very strong move to the upside. Okay, so this is how I look at the markets when I'm trading. And a lot of times markets would always follow this trend in a demand zone or in a supply zone. If there's one thing that you learn, like I've always been saying, if there's one thing that will change your trading game this year is to learn and master the art of liquidation and liquidity grab, understand liquidity concept, okay? And only take entries after liquidity has been grabbed. All right, Mr. Kwame, good evening, you're welcome. All right, so if we are going by that trade idea of waiting for liquidity to be grabbed first before we take entry, then you need to wait for price to come below the zone. So right now, you wait for price to come over here before you start looking for entries, right? So over here now, when price gets here, based on your entry model, okay, anything that you use, you might see another double bottom from here. If you're someone that trades a double bottom, you can trade your double bottom, right? If you see a heads and shoulder pattern, okay, you can go for the head and shoulder pattern. If you're someone that trades channels or any other, you are into smart money concept, for example, right? You have to wait for order flow shift again, okay, order flow alignment, and then you buy. But ultimately, you want to be looking for buy opportunities below this zone because this is a point where liquidity needs to be grabbed. Give me some feedback, guys, in the chat box if you understand this analysis. Let me know if I'm carrying you along on USDJPY. Okay, type in a yes in the chat box if you understand. Type in a no if you don't understand. Okay, so Raymond understands. Who else understands or does not understand? I need to be sure that you understand this concept because we are doing this for you guys. Sunday Patrick also understands. All right, so we have 2 yeses. Any no's? Any no's? So if this idea, this trade idea that we are looking at is new to you, I'll recommend that you keep joining the weekly sessions. By default, because you hear me speak about it a whole lot, and if you do your own assignment, you should understand it. Okay, right now, for the majority of people that have been joining our sessions every week, you would always hear me talk about liquidity, right? So what you should do is you need to have your own personal study and go and study about liquidity concept, how to spot liquidity in a demand zone or in a supply zone. You've also heard me talk about demand and supply. What you should do is have your own personal study time to learn about what a demand is, what a supply is, and how to spot valid supply and demand zones in the market. All right. So because this is not a training, a so to say training session, this is a live trading session. We are doing analysis, so I might not be able to go deep into some concepts, but you really help yourself if outside of what we are doing here every week, you are doing your own personal research and then you are developing your trading skill sets. It's very important. Okay, so that is that. So what I'll do personally is I'll just come here and then I'm going to set an alert. Okay, I want an alert so that once price gets into this zone, it will trigger the alert. I'll get an email from TradingView. I also get a pop-up notification on my app, and of course, a web notification on my laptop as well. Okay. So the next pair that we are looking at is Euro USD. Okay, so let's start from the weekly chart. So we're looking at Euro USD on Monday as well. And then what did we say is happening on Euro USD? Of course, you want to check out the market structure on a higher time frame. This is the weekly chart on Euro USD, by the way, right? As always, the first thing you want to do when you take a look at any currency pair, any commodity, always start with market structure. Okay, because there are times that your entry model might align at any given time. But if your entry strategy, your model is not in confluence with market structure, that means you are trading against structure, right? So most likely you will be in a lot of failed trades. So when you apply market structure to your trading strategy, you filter out a lot of bad trades, bad setups, okay? Because what market structure would help you know is the direction in which you are supposed to be trading, okay? So that's why we are starting from weekly. So we start from the weekly and then we will walk our way down. So when you take a look at this is structure real quick. Price is in a downtrend, like so, right? And then right now, what do we have? Right, price is currently retracing to this range here, this supply range. So if you bring that forward, price in a range, and then what we have here is a retracement. Okay, this is a retracement. All right, good. So we have price is in a weekly supply here. So what that means is that there'll be a lot of liquidity grabs here, and ultimately, if price is still in this zone, the ideal setup to look forward to is a sell setup. Okay, it's a sell setup, and then we know that when you check out the dollar index, the dollar is also at a weekly demand. So what it means is that possibly we might start experiencing demand for dollar, which will make the dollar strong. So in the case of Euro USD now, if the dollar is strong, which is a quote currency, that means we should be expecting a dump shortly on the dollar. Okay, but we just don't know when it's going to happen because this is a weekly time frame. So let's move forward and find a suitable entry. All right. So weekly time frame has given us an idea as to what is going on with this pair. So we know that our price is in a supply zone. Ideally, we are looking for a sell. So when I look at what's going on the weekly time frame, ideally, I like to check out what's going on next on the 4-hour chart. Or you can take your time and also check out what's going on the daily. So on daily, what do we have on daily? Okay, we have price doing this. Okay, so ideally, you're waiting for price to shift order flow from bullish to bearish. So you have a higher high being created now. So if you are waiting to sell Euro USD based on this daily structure, you need price to, based on this current market flow, order flow, you want price to break this higher low. Okay, you want this demand zone to fail, like so. So you want price to come down here, break this zone, and then you wait for price to retrace into a supply. It is at that supply zone that you now start looking for sell opportunities. All right, so that is if this happens. But you know, the market can do whatever it wants to do. Oops, that's if this happens. So we are not incentivized yet, okay, for any other thing apart from a sell, excepting this other setup right here. So that is one trade idea on Euro USD, to wait for that order flow shift based on daily, or you want to wait for price to retrace into this. right? So this is a block of demand here. So for all we know, possibly, right? Possibly the dollar can keep dropping, and then the weakness on the dollar can continue. What it means is that on a pair like Euro USD, right, is going to be bullish continuously. So we have price already has given us a new high here, and then this is a demand zone. So when price gets into this zone, you can also be looking for buy opportunities. Okay, so two possible scenarios that can happen. You want to be prepared for any of those scenarios. Like I always say, you need to get a point in your analysis as a forex trader that you need to be flexible with possible outcomes of the market, right? And majority of why a lot of us feel so attached to a trade is because we think our analysis is correct, or you want your analysis to be correct such that you're not considering other possibilities in the market. So in order to be better prepared when things don't go your way, you need to know all of the possible setups that can happen within a particular currency pair. And I've shown you the first one, which is a sell scenario. And then this is the other scenario that can happen possibly. We might see a continuation on Euro USD to give us a new high. Okay, but very, very importantly, when price retraces into this demand zone, you just don't want to click on buy just like that. You need certain confirmations. First confirmation that you need is you need to see activity of liquidation. Okay, if price is going to respect this demand zone, first thing must happen, then grab. Okay, I've shown us multiple times in a demand zone, in a supply zone, how liquidation occur before the actual move starts. So if price retraces into this zone and you don't see any activity of liquidation, you are not incentivized to start looking for buy opportunities yet. If you do that, if you take a buy opportunity without first of all spotting liquidity, then most likely you will be the liquidity that will be grabbed, right? If you find yourself in a market scenario that you cannot spot liquidity, most likely at the end of the day, you are going to be the liquidity, all right? And you don't want to contribute to liquidity in the market. So because you are better informed about how the market operates, right, supply and demand, right, you need to wait for the BFI to give you footprint on exactly what they want to do, right? You want to be as reactive as possible to the market, right? Good. So that's what we have on the daily time frame. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame and check out what's going on the 4-hour time frame. All right, so on the 4 hours, we have, so this is a 4-hour time frame. So we have a more tighter setup here. Now check this out, all right? Price is doing this over here and over here. So this is the other flow on this guy. Okay, so price is ultimately bullish, right? And then we have internal structure here, like so. So what you want to wait for on the 4 hours is the other flow shift. And for other flow to shift on 4 hours, based on this market structure, you need price to break this higher low here. Once this higher low has broken, like so, okay, you want to wait for price to retrace into this supply range here. Inside this zone is where you want to start looking for your sell opportunities, okay? Your sell opportunities. So this is a 4-hour time frame. When price retraces into this zone, I recommend that you go a time frame deeper, like your 5 minutes or 15 minutes, and then you start looking for possible sell entries. Also, recommended that you spot entries after liquidation. Again, let me take my time to explain it again. By liquidation, I mean on your lower time frame, like 5 minutes, when price is retracing into this zone, a lot of times you see something like an M pattern, like so. Okay, so this is supply pressure, okay, in that zone. But you don't want to be the first people, you don't want to be part of the first people to sell, right? Because a lot of times price will still come back. So you want to wait for people's stop losses that is here to be taken out. Once that is taken out, in this zone now is where you want to be looking for sell opportunities. Okay, and regardless of what you use for your entry, you can do it. If you are someone that trades any retail concept, double bottoms or double tops, or you trade moving average systems, go for it, right? You are more likely to hit a win, okay, because you are taking entry after liquidity has been grabbed. Okay, I hope this makes sense a lot to you. Yeah, so this is what I will personally wait for on Euro USD. Remember, if you were on the Monday session, we made mention about this particular setup that will form possibly here. Okay, so on 4 hours, that is the setup that we are going to wait for, right? I don't see any reason to buy, because right now on 4 hours, if I look for buys on 4 hours, I'm going to need price to retrace into this zone, possibly, okay, if I'll buy, because this is another demand, right? If you buy, you wait for price to retrace into this zone and then look for buy setups, okay? Also, before you buy, you need to see liquidity being grabbed first, and then look for buy setups below, okay? So that's what we have on Euro USD, but let me align it properly. Personally, I'm on the wait for a sell setup, if I'm being honest with you, okay? So I want price to break the zone. Once that break happens, then I'll wait for price to retrace into this supply. And then in this supply, I'll be looking for sell opportunities in this supply zone. So I can either sell it into this demand, or I sell it to take out liquidity at this low here. Okay, so possible, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 10 setups is going to happen on lower time frames. Okay, hope that makes sense, guys. Why are we selling on 4 hours? Because we started from the weekly time frame, and then weekly told us that we are in a supply. And on the weekly charts, when you take a look at it, a lot of liquidity grabs has taken place over the course of, let's say, 6 to 7 weeks. Okay, and then if you have noticed, people that trade Euro USD or GBP USD, a lot of times in the last 6 weeks, thereabouts, people have been kind of complaining, because most people are favoring a sell on these pairs, but their stop losses will always get taken out. And that's because they don't consider the liquidity concept. All right, good. So let's check out the next pair. I think I saw Mr. Raymond sent in GBP JPY. So let's check out GJ real quick. Sonny Patrick is asking, is break of structure linked or similar to liquidity grab? No. Everything is linked together, but it's not similar, but is linked. It's connected. I'm not sure how I can explain it to you, but grab of liquidity is a different concept entirely to break of structure. All right, so break-up structure is it's actually a basic concept. So let me just digress a bit for clarification. All right, so when you have an uptrend like so, for example, okay, when you say break-up structure, it means that for your higher high to form over here, this previous higher high. Okay, so if you see a new high like so, and then the body of this higher high closed above this zone, right? Then this is a break of structure. This is a break of structure, right? This zone here, because this structure has been broken. So we'll say that price has broken structure because it broke above a previous high and the body of the candle closed above it. There are times that price will break structure like so, but it's just going to be like a wick, not the body of the candle closing, right? I don't consider that a break of structure. All right. So for me, a valid break of structure is if we see a break of a previous high and then the body of the candle closes above this zone. Okay, that's a BOS for me. On the flip side, when I take a look at it on a downtrend, like so, okay, so this right here is a lower low, right? For you to say a break of structure on this downtrend move, price needs to break this zone and close up below this zone. All right, so you say this is a break of structure. So price broke the structural zone here. All right, so when you start learning about smart money concepts, break of structure is what actually validates a demand zone or a supply zone. All right, so just do your homework along those lines. So break of structure helps you validate a demand zone and the supply zone. Make sense? All right, awesome. So we're going to check our GBP, JPY. All right, so we want to start from the higher time frame, like the weekly time frame. So what is going on the weekly time frame? Very, very simple. Now, as you can see on the weekly, we can see price is in. So let's do a poll. Now, looking at this market structure here on GJ, is price in an uptrend or a downtrend on the weekly time frame? Check it out properly. Would you say price is in an uptrend or downtrend? Type your answer in the chat box. What is price doing? Okay, Sunday said uptrend. Who's with uptrend? NS said uptrend. Awesome. Okay. Aquabins is asking a question, which is preferable using MT5 or TradingView on PC? It's preference, right? You can use it for the same thing. They are both trading platforms for analysis, right? But the ideal that you should be using is MT5, okay, because that is the standard. That's a brokerage standard. All right. So I use both actually, right? But the major reason why I use TradingView to analyze because it is easier to show you on TradingView. It's more fluid for training purposes. Okay, but use TradingView, use MT5, and the one that you prefer, just stick with it. There's nothing that is on MT5 that's not on TradingView, and vice versa. So Victor, Emmanuel, uptrend. Yes, so price is in an uptrend. Okay. Like so. Okay, so now for this move to shift from an uptrend to a downtrend, okay, based on what we have printed now, price needs to break below this zone. So this is the higher low. So how will we know that this trend is about to shift from this uptrend to downtrend? Price needs to first and foremost violate this higher low, okay? And more often than not, you're going to see a retracement. And then price will form a lower low. Okay, so when this happens, this is a signal, okay, that price is not in a downtrend. So price is in an uptrend. If price is in an uptrend, what do you want to do? You want to draw out your demand zone. Okay, so because price is in an uptrend because there's demand for the base currency. So right now there's a huge demand for GBP. So let's mark out the demand. Okay, so all of this is a demand range here. Good. So marking this out, we know that we are supposed to be looking for buys in this zone. But for us to buy, we cannot just buy on the higher time frame. We need to be able to go on a lower time frame, spot liquidity grabs, and then take entry. Okay. So what you want to do is over here. So this is the first point that price touched the zone. This is our demand zone. So at the mitigation of that zone, you want to spot activity of liquidation before taking entry. So I'm going to go to the 4-hour time frame. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame. All right. So what can we see? What can we see on the 4-hour time frame here? Okay, same thing, very similar to what's on UJ. We can see buyer's pressure here, like so. Okay, possible W pattern or heads and shoulder. Ultimately, price going up, taking out structural areas. Okay, lower highs. So when you see this, that means you've seen buyer's pressure, and that is a recipe for liquidity. So that means there's liquidity here. People's stop losses is here. All right. So in this case, you want to wait for price to come back down to break the zone, to take out people's liquidity. And then you can see the strong move that broke the zone. So it is now below this zone now, as we have seen, is where you want to be looking for buy opportunities. Okay, so in this case, what do we have happening? So over here, we've seen liquidity grab here. Good. So below this zone now, we now want to start looking for opportunities to buy. So in this case, you are waiting for order flow shift from bearish to bullish. So right now we have this structure like so. Okay, so price is still very much in a downtrend. So based on the 4-hour chart right now, if you're looking for buys in this demand zone, it makes sense to wait for price to break this zone, this high, like so. Once you see the break of this high, so price is approaching this zone right here. Once that break happens, you wait for price to retrace into a block of demand. And then you start looking for buy opportunities. That happens. Okay. This is one particular setup for a buy. But likewise, like I always tell you, now we are in a buy, we're in a demand zone on weekly. Because we're in a demand zone does not mean that we cannot also spot sell opportunities, okay? Because a demand zone can be violated. So over here, we can see that on the 4 hours, the trend is still very much bearish, isn't it? Yes, I'll meet you shortly, Manu. So over here, you can see that the trend is bearish. Impulse, correction, impulse. Okay. So in a downtrend like so, this is a supply. So over here now on GJ, right? If this supply zone is going to hold, it'll be valid. That means price should possibly form a lower low. And then possibly at that formation of lower low might be what will trigger, a move that will change the structure, and then price will start going all the way up. Okay, so based on what we have here, let's look at structure here. Okay, so obviously this is the point of the mitigation of the zone. Let's see if on a lower time frame we'll be able to spot liquidity. So I want to go to 15 minutes, for example. So let's play this back here. So on 15 minutes, what can we see? We've seen pattern like so. So what do? You wait for price to come above the zone, and then you start looking for sell setups. So we have, this is where price is right now currently. So we are right to start looking for sell opportunities. Okay, so as a matter of fact, price has even picked up. So when you look at the structure for other flow sheets from bullish to bearish, remember this is the 4-hour supply, and we are looking for sell on 15 minutes. On 15 minutes, we've seen activity of liquidation, and after liquidation, now we are looking for sell setups, right? And ideally, to find a sell setup, you need to consider order flow and market structure, as the market structure shifted from bullish to bearish. So in this case, this is the market structure for the bullish move, like so. Okay, and then if price will shift from this bullish move to bearish, you need to wait for price to break this zone. So what can we see here? We can see the break of this zone, right? Ultimately, price retracing, and then we are seeing price come here right now. So this is the right zone where we're supposed to look for entry. All right, so this happened today, a few 2 or 3 hours ago. So this would have been the ideal zone for you to take entry if you have seen this. All right, so what you could have done is to put a sell limit here. So right now, this trade is in profit of almost 1 to 3 risk to reward. So if you're risking 1% on a trade, you should probably be in 3% profit right now. Okay, Ambrose, Annie, you can't see my screen. Okay, guys, give me some feedback. Can we all see my screen? Can we all see my screen? So, Mr. Ambrose, could you possibly log out and log back in? Maybe that will solve it. Okay. So, but no worries. Even if you lost the trade, what we can do is to wait for another entry. So if you're waiting for another entry, if you are bent on taking entry on GJ, so this is the structure right now. So we have this. So we have this like so. We have this. So you want price to break below this. So you want price to break below this. Once that break happens, you wait for retracement into a supply zone, and then you take entry for the sell. Hope that makes sense. So, Emmanuel, I'm going to unmute you now so you can ask a question. Emmanuel, please unmute yourself and ask a question.
Okay, please, could you scroll up? I was just going to ask why we need to wait up to that.
Which time frame?
This time frame as well, so, or maybe for, but it's just that I want to go to the demand zone. You went really far, whereas there is actually already.
Which area? Let us spot the zone first.
Yeah.
Which zone are we spotting?
The demand zone. The demand zone. Go back on the 15 minutes.
On 15 minutes?
Yes.
Demand or supply?
Demand. My question majorly was just why do we have to actually wait for that retracement to go deep further down into the field now?
Into here, right? Here, right?
No, you are still, this is still supply you're showing.
Yes.
Demand zone, the demand zone down, where you were actually analyzing for a buy earlier. Assuming this is actually to actually,
okay, here, right?
Yes. Now take it to 15 minutes. Yeah, there was actually a zone where we have that what's it called now?
This place of 15 minutes.
Yes. Take this to 15 minutes. There was some yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Now I know you're actually looking at where this exhaustion occurred, but if you go to the right, my question was just to ask that why are we not considering, because just based on liquidity grabbing that you taught us, right?
Right.
So why do we have to actually come this far, even up to where the liquidation occurred? Whereas we could have actually judged from this level where the most fails occurred, even before coming to the extent of this liquidity exhaustion, or where liquidation finally occurred.
Okay.
So that we don't miss the point of where we should have actually take our buy and then continue to the next supply zone to actually come back down, if I thought we are doing the both buy and sell. I hope you got. I wish I could actually.
Yeah. I'm trying to get you. There is a. Are you joining this Zoom call with your laptop or your mobile phone?
My laptop.
Okay, I'm going to enable you to be able to annotate.
Okay.
So I think you should be able to like draw some things on the chart and just show me the zone that you're talking about.
Okay, all right. So my question was to ask you, why do we have to wait? Can you see my mouse?
Not yet.
Oh. Do I need to do anything?
I think you see maybe possibly an option to write something.
Hold on, I'm trying to. I didn't see that. Okay, let me just, don't worry. Let me use the points. So the question was, why do we have to wait, right? Up to between 155,800 to 155,400. While this is just the liquidation exhaustion, whereas we can see that between 156,600 or between 157 and 156,600, right? Almost about 5 times exactly, even up to this left level. Yeah, you can see almost about 5 or 4 times there has actually been a confirmation that we could actually haven't experienced that this has actually retraced into the demand zone, and due to number of due to number of times there has actually been the retracement into this zone again, then we could actually, for us not to miss and then catch that buy up and then wait until it takes us back into the supply zone up there before we consider selling back down.
Okay, good. So I get your question and it's very valid. So I will be able to, okay, so let me just tell you, remember, I think you're on the call on Monday when I was telling you about how I do analysis when I take trades. So I start analysis. So if I see a setup on the 4-hour time frame, so let me just write it down. If I see a setup on H4, I go to another time frame, 15 minutes for confirmation, and eventually I go to the 1 minute for entry. Okay, so everything that you said here is very, very valid. So that will be based on people's preferred time frame for entry. For example, so let's do let me show you how this trade played out. So if I'm looking at this particular setup on the 15 minutes now, for example, this would be the order flow shift that I'm waiting for example. So we have this, right? So for this order flow to shift from bearish to bullish, you need price to break this lower high, right? Good. And then this lower high break now
has been broken, yes.
Has been broken. All right. So next thing is to take the whole range, right?
Yes.
So I'll consider the whole range. So let's rewind this to somewhere. Hold on. Let me rewind this. Good. So it got broken by this candle here. And there's a retracement with this candle. So for me to take entry, what I'll do is I'll go a time frame deeper. So I'll check it on the 1 minute time frame. And on the 1 minute, what are we looking for? We are looking for activity of liquidation. So in this case, what can we see in this case? So this is the point of the retracement over here. So you can see this little structure here on 1 minute. So ultimately, we can see these highs taken out, this high taken out by this particular move here. So this is the first I'm waiting for, liquidation. So I can see buyer's pressure. So, but I will not take entry with this buy. You want to wait for price to come back down here to take out liquidity. So once price comes back down here is when you start looking for trade entries. Make sense?
Yeah.
So it's in this zone now that's looking for trade entries. So it's not like a law says that you need to wait for price to come to the extreme. It's based on the structure after liquidity has been grabbed. And over here, what do we have? For example, you can see price coming down like so. Okay, let's just take this. Okay, and then this is a lower high. Same thing on the lower time frame. So when this happens like so, you can see this internal structure over here. Ultimately, price broke this zone. So when I'm taking entry on a lower time frame, like the 1 minute chart, I like to consider the extreme zone, demand or supply. In this case, the extreme demand zone is this sell to buy candle here, this one.
Okay.
All right, you can see. So it is at this point now that I'm looking to take entry. So what I've done over here is to put my buy limit like so, and then stop loss a bit below the zone, and then we look for buy opportunities. Okay. And
Yeah.
if you purchase for, let's see what price did. Okay. So
Exactly.
price followed that analysis exactly. So just follow the setup. You want to wait for liquidity grab first before you start looking for entries. You don't have to wait for price to go to the extreme.
Okay.
You get.
Yeah.
So,
Because
but
just like
yes,
what just happened here now, we would have
yes,
missed all of these moves, hoping that maybe the price will still come and actually take out all of these demand zones before actually going back up, or maybe expecting it to come and enter the extreme before moving back up. All right.
yes.
That's my
So yeah. So now, like I said, price came to the extreme actually, as you have seen.
no. After the structure is broken, right?
Yes,
And we needed to wait for this price to retrace into this demand zone, right?
yes,
And then before we start going up, in
yes,
some cases, one may actually be thinking, okay, probably waiting further for the price to still enter into this demand zone beyond the point where this uptrend now started taking place.
yes,
All right, would have actually been using this as the validation. However, for me, I'll look at it that, okay, I haven't tried the first extreme, the second, the third. Now, before the retracement, and this retracement did not take out the second entry, I will actually look at that as a confirmation that is because the price is now ready to actually move up. That's why it did not break this. Rather, if it has broken this and enter into this extreme, probably I would have waited for it to come back before going back up again. Yeah.
Yeah, possibly for like a realignment. Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Because
Makes sense to you?
I took this
Yeah.
trade, but not
Okay.
on GJ or on EJ.
Okay. Egypt, really? That was our last week.
No, just this week.
January 3rd. This happened January 3rd.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is just using, but I actually took this now with the supply zone.
Okay.
So while it came up, so I actually bought, even at the point I saw them, I actually bought. I think I'm still holding one or two buy on EJ, not GG actually, not GG now, EJ.
EJ. Okay.
Yeah, Euro JPY.
JPY.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool. Nice one. I get your question, boss. I hope it's clear what I explained.
Yes. Very
Understand
well.
your
I don't
perspective
have to
on it.
confirm that we would one be actually going, would that be a violation of the supply and demand zone rule as while we are considering liquidity as well as liquidation, all right?
Right.
Before taking entry. That's what I don't want to confirm. Because sometimes the fact that you try something and it works for you, it may be that it's a lock, not a validation of anything. And it could have been that, oh, I was not patient enough, just like what you said. I haven't assumed that, oh, that's actually the right point to have actually entered the trade. And I did. Whereas probably I could have just waited a bit more and allow price to actually do what we're going to do. Maybe they don't want to do a bit of liquidity grabbing before they now actually realign back to structure and then allow the trend to actually take its course.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to confirm.
Okay, nice. I get you.
All right.
You're on
Thank you.
track. Yeah. Yes, sir. You're welcome. All right, guys. So any more questions, guys? Any more pair that you want us to analyze? Possibly we can take one more pair to check out for the week and possibly one more question if we have any question. Okay. We have been here for 1 hour. It's a 1 hour class. We don't want to hold us for too long on these sessions. Okay, Solomon Musa, USD cards. So that'll be our last pair for tonight. If you have any questions, please feel free to put your questions in the chat box or just signify and then you'll be asked the question. You'll be told to unmute yourself. So USD card, let's check out what's going on the higher time frame. So let's check out USD card on weekly charts. On weekly chart, we can see that price is obviously bullish, all right? So we can see a demand zone right here. So price has currently retraced into a demand. And as we all know, a lot of times price would take out liquidity like so before going back up. And I've also figured out a lot of times that in a demand zone, price would usually come to possibly close to the middle or half before the real move start to happen in that particular zone. So price on USD card, give me a second, so if this touch, it touched this slightly. So if this touch should really hold, then price should have, possibly broken the supply to create a new high. But that did not happen. Price is currently retracing now. Okay, so ultimately we're in an uptrend on the weekly chart with the possibility of price still coming back down here to grab liquidity. Okay, so again, the goal of higher time frame like the weekly chart is just to give you an idea, a story of what is going on. So once we know that, let's go to the 4-hour chart and spot possible entries. Okay, so we have this particular structure on the lower time frame, 4 hours right now. And then what is price doing? Price is currently retracing on a downtrend. So let's take this most recent trend here. Like, so this is a 4-hour chart. Okay. And what I'm waiting for right now is for price to retrace into this range, this supply range here. Once price get into this zone, okay, I'll start looking for possible entries for a sell. Okay, so USD card is not ripe for a buy or for a sell yet. Okay, so when price enters this zone, you want to start looking for sell opportunities, but you want to sell after liquidation. Very, very important. It will save you a lot of headaches when you take entry after liquidation. Okay, Solomon, is that clear? Is that clear? Rosalind, EU and gold. So we already checked out EU. Rosalind, we can't check it out again, but because I think you came late, I'll just check out gold. Last year for tonight. Let's do gold. Okay. Let's do gold. So gold on weekly. What's going on weekly? Anna Williams. For that liquidation question that you're asking now, I think I've used like 3 to 4 analogies to explain it to you properly. So again, because you have been on this call with us from the beginning, I recommend that you take the recording. So it will be posted on the WhatsApp group by tomorrow. So please check it out and support the liquidation concepts. So that'll give you a lot more understanding. And also, like I recommended, do your own due diligence as well and study on your own. Okay, because this is a live trading session. This is not a boot camp where we go deep into this particular details, right? So on gold, what do we have here? The structure. Currently, we have price retracing like so into this supply here. Okay. Ultimately, what do we have? So this is a supply zone. We are seeing price popping out of this supply zone with a possibility of a, just a gap of liquidity at the zone. So in a supply zone, we are looking to sell, but we can also look for buy setups if we find one. Now, let's go to the 4-hour time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, what do we have here? Now, this is structure, and we are possibly seeing order flow shifting from this bullish to bearish, like so. You can see this, you can see this. If price will shift now from, if you're going to sell, remember, this is the weekly supply. We are looking for sales. This is a 4-hour chart. We are in that supply zone. If you will sell on the 4-hour chart, then the structure cannot be an uptrend. It has to violate the structure. So over here right now, you wait for price to break this zone. That's to break the higher low, like so, of which we've already seen a slight break, right? We call this a change of character, right? I would actually fancy it. Okay, it's still very, very valid. But some people wouldn't use it because it's just a week. But I recommend it because sometimes being aggressive works. So now this is a supply zone right now that we are looking to sell. So price has slightly violated this higher low. We have a current retracement now into this supply. So over here right now, you want to be looking for possible sell setups right now on this gold supply. So in this case, what you want to do, you want to go to a lower time frame like your 15 minutes. So on your 15 minutes right now, so price is currently retracing here. You want to wait. You want to wait for, so this is an M pattern that has not formed. So if this move now breaks this low, then I'll consider this seller's pressure. Then that means we have activity of liquidity over here. So if price comes down to break this low, I'm going to wait for the pressure to exhaust, and then I'll wait for price to come back up here to take out people's stop loss here, liquidity. So it is after this zone now over here, I'll start looking for possible sell setups. Okay, so I can't tell you exactly what to do right now because the market is still printing. I don't know what price is going to print. So we might have a different structure, but ideally you are looking for sellers pressure to kick in. Once you see that a lot of people are selling, you don't want to jump into the trade yet. Okay, so let that sell pressure take out structure. When that happens, that means a lot of people are selling and then their stop loss is actually above somewhere here. So because you know the way the market works, liquidity needs to be grabbed for the real move to happen. So when that happens, when price comes back up here, you are looking for sell opportunities. Rosalind, I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you understand, Rosalind. Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys. So let's call it a night. If you have any further questions, we have a Telegram chat actually where you can even post your own trading analysis and setups, where you can possibly also get confirmations or suggestions on what you should do concerning a particular trade. So feel free to engage in the Telegram group, ask your questions there, right? I'm also on the group as well. And when I see a good question that I can answer, I will provide answers. If I don't provide answer, we have a lot of experts there that can also give you adequate support. All right. So if you are not on that Telegram group, request for the link from any of your account officer, and then you'll be added to the group. engage in that group, ask questions, stumble, fall, you get better. All right. So with that being said, the recording of this will be made available to everybody tomorrow afternoon. Please do well to check it out, because there are times that these setups might not actually happen this week. It might happen next week. But if you are waiting for it patiently, right, you know exactly what to wait for and then how to strike. All right. So let's have a remarkable rest of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish us all the very, very best in our trading journey. Ensure that you are upgrading your skill sets every single day. Okay, a day shouldn't go by where you are not adding to your knowledge. Okay, and most importantly, you want to implement. And when you are not trading live, you want to spend your time back testing, because back testing helps you to understand the strategy. It helps you build confidence in strategy. Okay, very, 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 very important. All right, guys. Okwemi is asking, is it on this class or with previous? Yes, every class. Are you talking about the recording? Yes, it's always on the group. And we have everything is on our YouTube channel. Okay, so just if you're on the group, click on a particular recorded link. You see the YouTube channel there. When you go to all the videos on the channel, you see all the classes so far in the last few weeks. Okay, Okwayemi, is that clear? All right. Good night, everybody. God bless you. Cheers.